Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Holy Youth Ministry podcast. I'm Josh Periski. I am the youth pastor here at Cornerstone Church, and today we have a very special guest, Ana Maciel. She is a good friend. Then we've been doing ministry now together for 6 years?
Sure.
Something like that.
Long time.
Feels like forever. And Ana, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, my name's Ana Maciel, like Josh already said. And I have been in youth ministry since 2013, and at the same church, which is...
It's kind of a big deal. How long? So 2013, it's 10 years at the same church?
Yeah.
11 years.
Yeah.
Dang.
Going on 11, yeah.
It's like 7 times longer than the average youth pastor. Look at you.
Yeah, so that's at Trinity Community Church in Norwood, Massachusetts. My title's changed a little bit now that I have 3 children under my belt, but I go by high school ministries director now.
Yeah, and she's killing it, so... And again, fortunately, when we went to Gordon College together, studied youth ministry. Do you remember our trip to Dallas, by the way?
That was like one of my favorite memories of college.
Yeah. I just remember seeing the random city of Dallas, like on the ground. It's like little sculpture. And just pretending that I was Godzilla and stepping on it.
I have that picture somewhere.
Yeah. That was a good time. But, so Anna's here today. Anna, you're here today. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of the things that God has put on our heart as it relates to youth ministry together in New England. So do you want to talk a little bit about kind of where you were when you started out in ministry, and then kind of maybe when then we kind of met back up when I moved back to Massachusetts, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, so like I got this job fresh out of college,
which of course, again, college completely prepared you for.
Totally.
Yeah, ministry is so easy.
So prepared.
Yeah.
So I was young. I was like, what, 20 something? How old are you when you graduate?
I was 21, no, I was 22. I just turned 22. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably the same. 22, fresh out of college, start my first full-time ministry gig in a very towny town, which, okay, fun fact. Norwood, Massachusetts, apparently, and I looked this up on the way here because I heard it from my students last night at small group, Norwood holds the Guinness World Record of being the towniest town.
The towniest town?
Yes, like
are you talking an accent town, like town, like a
No,
I'm not even gonna try to do a Boston accent. I'm gonna get made fun of.
Like retention, like people who are born, raised, live, get married, and die in the town. They never leave. They never move out.
That could be a good thing. It also be like prison-esque. You're here forever. You have a life sentence to live in Norwood.
Yeah, so I grew up on the North Shore of Massachusetts, and then when I got this job and crossed over to the South Shore, I was like, where the heck am I?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a whole different culture, a whole different scene. And then I'm a first-generation immigrant. I'm Brazilian. I grew up in the United States, obviously, from the age of 4. So I have like a both and, like, 1 foot in like Brazilian culture a little bit, and then 1 foot in American culture. So for me to then like cross over to like white towny America was a very strange experience. And going from like Pentecostal Assemblies of God is where I interned.
Yeah, that was Calvary Christian, right?
Yeah. So awesome people there. So I interned there in this very like charismatic church, and then I go towny town and Baptist. Very stoic. They're great. Obviously, we worship, but there's no raising of hands.
Yeah, so, why would you do that?
Very interesting culture switch for me. And because of that, I felt like I was operating on an island for a long time because I also didn't really like know anybody in the youth ministry sphere. So it was very interesting to get started in that.
There's a whole lot of newness. And two, you were just also new, you and Caleb had just gotten married too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole lot of newness.
Lots and lots of newness. So operating on an island for, I think, at least like the first 3 or 4 years of ministry until finally, like, I went to some, what's it called, like a network gathering with my senior pastor.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, so different. I think it was like a Converge gathering, something like that. And there were other pastors there, and then he turns and he introduces me to Mike McGarry, who was the youth pastor at Emmanuel at the time.
Norfolk,
yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike immediately, like, we become friends, and he's like, hey, why don't you join CrossNet, which is this gathering of youth pastors that they were trying to get together like monthly or something. And that was the switch for me. That was like the hallelujah, Jesus has heard me and answered my prayers.
No longer are you praying, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Yes, kind of felt like that for a while.
Yeah.
So I made some friends, much needed youth ministry friends, and we visited each other's churches. And then that's when you came into the picture.
Yep, I came in I came late 2018.
Yeah, so you just like emerged at a Panera one day,
I
and
did.
I'm like, hey, I went to school with you.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Super random.
Yeah. But then out of that too, I mean, it's cool. So a little bit of my story too is I started out in Colorado, fresh out of college. And again, Gordon, I love Gordon College. I love the ministry stuff they gave us. But man, there's something different about just studying it in books and listening to Doug Fields talk about your first 2 years in youth ministry, and then actually living your first 2 years in youth ministry. So I actually crashed and burned in my first church. I only lasted a year and a half. I almost went 2 years. And then I actually ended up going to seminary because I was like, man, I'm pretty bad at some of this leadership stuff, and I got to get all my theological ducks in a row. So I go to Denver Seminary out in Colorado, but I got connected with a couple youth groups and youth ministries while I was out there, and they kind of started doing a little bit of the collaborative stuff. I forget what we called it out there. It was CrossNet's such a cool name for that. I just think we were Crew. Castle Rock United Youth Pastors.
Nice. Crew,
yeah. And so we got connected, and we started doing a lot of collaborative stuff. And by that time, I'd graduated seminary, and God called us back home to Massachusetts. And so I came with this, like, we need to do collaborative ministry. I've seen it work. And so then I run into Anna, I run into you, and I run into the CrossNet, and I'm like, let's do this. Like, let's jump in both feet. Yeah. And so eventually, and the groups kind of waned a little bit, but you and I still have remained close. I think it was the proximity of our churches too. We were only 20 minutes apart.
Yep.
And we were like, yo, we should just do fun stuff together. And
made it easy.
But largely, again, the reason, Anna, you're here is because we've seen it work. And so again, I really hope that during our time together we can share with people, hey, why should we do this? Why should we collaborate in youth ministry? Because, like, there is this general sense of, and we've experienced that, this general sense of, yo, those are my kids. Like, don't be going after my kids. Like, what if, or like we get the kind of the fears of like, well, what if my kid wants to go to your youth ministry, right? What if I lose them? Yeah. And so those are all fun questions and things we've experienced. But at the end of the day, we are one kingdom, one church for New England, from New England, and it's been pretty cool to experience. But so when I first got here, right, we were talking. We have fun notes here, by the way. But when I first got here, I noticed this territorialism, right? It's that Frozen Chosen mentality almost of like, oh, you're new here and you can't be my friend, and all that stuff. Like, I'm closed off to you, and that New England kind of mindset, which I understand, but also I think to a degree, once you're in New England, like, you're in, which is also a really cool thing in terms of friendship, right? Like, like that. It's like that, like, I won't be your friend, but then you just, continue to wear them down with kindness until eventually they're like, fine, whatever. But then the loyalty here. So while it's difficult to break in, the loyalty here, I think, is pretty strong, which can also be a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
But when we came in here and we noticed kind of the territorialism sometimes and the siloed offness of youth ministry. Competition. Thank you. That's such a better word.
No, I think along with what you said, there's a lot of competitions. Like, my youth group's bigger than your youth group, and look at I've got 12 kids. Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a lot of that. But the interesting thing we noticed as we started meeting and gathering together and hearing youth pastors' stories is that, hey, these aren't, we can't start using the words our kids, right? These are all God's kids. And especially as we stepped into the pandemic and, that just threw a wrench into everything. How do we begin to let, not our desire to hold on to our kids and cling to what we have, grow our ministry even, or just kind of remain status quo, but in humility, how do we open up our doors of our ministries, our our minds as it relates to event planning and inviting other people in, and as we'll talk about too, some cool stuff has come about as a result of that.
Yeah.
But Anna and I have we've adopted this policy, this posture of like, hey, as long as they're falling in love with Jesus somewhere, is what's most important to us. But Anna, can you talk a little bit just about kind of the relationships? Because that's really what we were made for. Like when God made Adam and he was like, yo, like it's not good that we're alone, right?
Yep.
He needed someone else. And so at our very core, relationships matter when it relates to collaboration. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, just from that personal experience of being lonely, that deep loneliness in youth ministry, I've come to recognize after, like, being refreshed and having that fellowship and these friends, it's like you cannot. I think youth ministry is almost impossible to do it alone.
Yeah. Well, if you do it alone, you will collapse and burn out.
There's only so much you can give, right?
Yeah.
But when you have these other youth pastors that you can turn to them for prayer, you can turn to them for idea sharing, support, right? We really do need to have friends in this ministry.
Because it's such a niche thing.
Yeah, it is.
Like, who else is going to complain to another person about other kids' sports schedules?
Exactly. Nobody else gets it.
Nobody else
gets it. Yep. And then on top of that, like when students see youth pastors having these friendships, this collaboration, right? They see that their youth group is beyond the walls of their church, right? It's that whole kingdom, body of Christ mindset where so we may not go to the same youth group, but we're still part of the same Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah. And I think in New England, the average New England church is pretty small. I think...
What was the last number? Was it like 80? Was it 80? Or is it even lower than that? Is it 60? The average church in New England. I don't actually know the number.
Like church body?
Church body.
Oh, I think it's under 100.
Is it under 100?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have youth groups that are averaging, what,
10 to 15, I think, is the average for New England.
Yeah, so, like, all the more reason why students need to see beyond the walls of their churches, right? Because then you see the same 10, 15 faces every Wednesday night or Sunday night or whatever. I think it kind of wears on them a little bit because they need that greater mentality of, like, there are other Christians.
Yeah.
Even within the walls of my school that I don't even know about. They just go to different churches.
Yeah.
Right?
And we also, and to a degree too, when I think about, gosh, I was a teenager such a long time ago.
Shut up. Don't talk about it.
Never mind. I'm like twice as old as my youngest students now.
So far removed from them.
Yeah. I was watching something about Gen Alpha the other day, and they were using phrases that I'm like, on God and stuff, but they, it's not. But anyway, but too, like, I use this word I don't want to use it too much, but there's also a sense that they need energy. Mm-hmm. They want to experience hype environments. Yep. We don't worship emotion, but there's something to be said for excitement as it relates to youth ministry and seeing that God is doing something outside of the walls of our church. Yeah. And that when students can see that and they see, oh, hey, like this guy's in my math class and he loves Jesus too. What? There's something cool that comes about as a result of that.
100%. Yep. And like for you saying that you burnt out a year and a half into your first youth ministry job.
Cooked.
It's like, I think there's a little accountability that happens too when we have other people in our circles, right? It's like they keep us from getting stagnant. They watch us for signs of burnout. Yep. They support us in the burnout, right? It's like Well,
I can't imagine why you'd burn out in ministry. All we do is just eat pizza and play dodgeball, right?
No. I burnt out once. Yeah. Haven't since, thank God. But I largely do think it's because there's this community.
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, again, you could say this in any walk of life that we're just better together. Yeah. When you're stacking hands with other people, and the accountability isn't necessarily like, bro, are you reading your Bible? Are you praying? Also, should be doing those things. Right. But it's also, man, I care about you. Yeah. And like, I want to see you thrive. A lot of our accountability has been stop working so much.
That's true.
Because imagine that. Like,
Josh is a workaholic, guys.
A job that never, ever ends. I joke with so many people and I'm like, yeah, I only work 1 day a week. And they're like, whatever. I don't know. Do you still get your students ever looking at you and be like, so like, what do you do for work?
Sometimes.
I had a student ask
you get paid to do this?
Yeah. I had a student ask me that the other night. He's like, so like, what do you do during the week? I was like, oh, I just sit around and think about Sunday night.
Okay, you know
And then
what's
it just,
funny?
and then just all of this just manifests.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like we're gonna obviously get there in a little bit, but like I was talking about the late nighter to the students last night,
Yeah.
telling them about some exciting developments for
Late
this
Nighter's
year.
awesome, by the way. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and they look at me and they go, "That just happened
Yeah,
like
dude.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about it already?" I'm like, guys, you don't understand the amount of work
Yeah.
that goes into that.
Yeah, we don't just show up and like, oh,
Oh
hey,
my
there's
goodness.
DJs and there's, hip hop artists and vendors.
It's like a whole other part-time job.
Yeah. Oh,
Consumes
man.
consumes our lives.
But it's true, like that reliability, but too the accountability, the dependability,
Yep.
the constant check-ins. Do you think you could make the argument that youth pastors who don't have this, it's almost a guarantee they'll burn out and leave ministry?
I think so. Because don't people say that about senior pastors? I
Yeah,
feel like
if they
senior
don't-
pastors have a
if they don't
harder
have-
time. Just gonna throw it on the
I
floor.
just threw it on the floor. You're so much more gentle than mine. Steve, you can edit that out.
What were you saying?
You're talking about senior pastors. Yeah.
Senior pastors, I think, have this quiet burnout because they don't have, or not that they don't have, I think a majority don't have the level of collaborations that somebody in
Yeah.
youth or kids ministry would have.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yep.
I always say that, again, if I ever leave youth ministry, it'll be a demotion. I love what I do.
Same.
But so as a result of collaboration, right, and we'll get into the nitty gritty, which is just fun. Like, can we just like collaborating with other youth groups? Like, for those who need to hear it, it's just fun.
It is.
You get to meet new people. You get to do wild and crazy things.
Yep. We have bandwidth to share resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I haven't even talked about it. Like through our collaboration, like we've been able to play laser tag. We've done bubble soccer stuff. I forget what other. I remember you gave us those. What were those little like? What do you call them? You sit on them. They got 4 wheels. What are those called?
Scooter boards?
Scooter boards. My kids love those. They like almost broke so many fingers crashing into
Those
each
are
other.
Painful.
Yeah, but
You
like
ever got your
like the
fingers run over by those?
Yes, I have. And I've gotten clocked. Yeah,
Horrible.
I've bled. It's fun. Although, it's if kids aren't bleeding at the end of a youth group night,
Did you do it
did
right?
we do our jobs? I don't think so. But yeah, just the collaboration that results in just more fun and wins for our students. Like it's people capture this vision. Look at me. Collaborate in youth ministry. But where does it start, Anna?
Where does it start, Josh? It starts, there was a point before I met Mike and like CrossNet and all of that where I recognized like I need people, and I literally cold emailed
Did you really?
the churches in my town because there's like 10 or 15 of them. Not all, Bible based or whatnot,
Yeah.
but I did cold email ones that looked like credible, like theologically sound.
Yeah.
Nobody got back to me.
Really?
Yes, really. It was just sad. But sometimes that's what it takes, and maybe people will actually answer you, and you get luckier than I did.
How did you start the email?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Hey, you, be my friend.
I'm lonely.
Yeah.
I need friends. Do you have one there for me?
No, we'll pray for you.
So sad.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that in my town there's a lot of healthy youth groups. We might be like one of the only ones.
Yeah, I don't know. You're the only youth pastor from that area that I know. And we've done a lot of networking. We've reached out to a lot of people. You're the only one that I've, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like old congregations.
Yep.
But yeah. So anyways, that's one way to start is to literally reach out to the people in your area, cold email, cold call, whatever, cold turkey.
Cold turkey. It's quitting.
I know, drive by and throw a piece of turkey on their church. I'm sorry.
Fun youth ministry event, by the way, throwing frozen turkeys at bowling pins.
That's true, we did that.
Turkey bowling, man.
They did that while I was on maternity leave.
Yeah, cold turkey.
I heard that the turkey juice went everywhere and it was disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's nasty.
We did turkey hurling too during that event, and we were like throwing, and one girl accidentally let it slip a little bit. And this kid sitting like right next to her, and it goes right by his face. was
That's
like,
disgusting.
man, like that is a hospital visit right there. That's just 1 foot to the left.
How did you get injured, sir? Well,
Dude,
do I have a story for you? I was at youth group C.
I was like, yeah.
The other one is host a lunch.
Yeah.
So, like, initially when I started getting together with CrossNet, we took turns hosting lunches.
Yep, I remember that.
At the churches, and we'd give each other the old church tour, the youth room tour. There was one fun one, I forget who, Valley Chapel, maybe?
I didn't go to the Valley Chapel one.
There was one that was fun because they had, this church was massive. It was like a warehouse type flooring, like concrete, and super like spacious. And their youth room closet had a ton of scooters. So we all took scooters
That
around
was
the
New England
church.
Chapel. That was my church.
No, Valley Chapel.
Well, we met in a warehouse. Valley Chapel's got a gorgeous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was ours. And we went around the auditorium in the scooters. Did you guys
Maybe
not?
it happened twice. I feel
Valley
like,
Chapel did that too? Oh.
yeah, I don't know. It was
Okay,
fun.
Matt. Way to go, Matt.
Anyways, you get to ride scooters with your youth pastor's friends.
Yeah, it's fun.
By hosting lunch.
That's also another thing about youth ministry. We grow older, but we never grow up.
That's the only way to survive in this
Exactly.
game. Yeah, so research, lunches, emails. How else?
Yeah, people won't show up maybe for emails, but when you're like, "Yo, I'll give you free food."
Mm-hmm. Something that's not pizza.
Something, yeah. But there was we really out of then when the world shut down. The world shut down, by the way, 4 years ago this week. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And it was also leap year, and it was a Biden-Trump president. Election year? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and the Chiefs beat the 49ers.
Yes, it's just a whole bunch of weirdness.
So it's just happening 4 years later.
It was
again.
this week. I closed on my house that day.
So we're living in the
week.
Matrix.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
This is all a projection.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Chemtrails.
But out of our networking, we started meeting. But then the world shut down, and Berea did this really cool thing, Berea Ministries, where they basically said, "All right, guys, we have no idea what we're doing. Let's all get together and not know what we're doing together."
Mm-hmm.
And they started meeting on Thursdays for this thing that we now affectionately call the huddle, where youth pastors would just come and gather. And initially it was all about how do we do this, and there were people coming on with some really cool ideas of how to do it. But eventually we got to this point where it's like, we don't care necessarily about the how or the what. We really just care about connecting with each other. So it was almost like the pandemic brought about collaboration by accident. And it unlocked this understanding inside of youth ministries that we really need each other more than we realize. So, I mean, 4 years later, we're still going strong on Thursdays. And so many friendships have come about as a result of that.
Yeah.
So many cool things in New England have come about as a result of youth pastors just gathering together to pray, understanding that we're better together when we're not siloed. Which has just been a massive blessing.
The best thing that come out of the pandemic was that.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think about the state of youth ministry in New England, I would argue it's really healthy.
I'd say it's thriving.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something that we'd have to talk to other people, but beforehand, would we have said it's thriving?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think there was a lot of fragmentation. Is the word.
Yes, it's a great word.
Yes, fragmentation. And now it just feels like the network has expanded so much.
I think there's 60 youth pastors that are all connected, and that's just in the Discord.
Yeah.
But there's so many more who we just talk with on a regular basis that are even outside of that, which is pretty cool.
I think it's safe to say that a majority of people, at least if they're connected to something like Berea and like going to camp for deep freeze or summer camp or whatever, I think it's safe to say that somebody knows somebody else in youth ministry.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think there's anybody that's truly alone, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? I say that hopefully.
We do. Like,
if you're out there.
I was at a pastoral cohort meeting yesterday, and I met a new youth pastor who I'd never met before. And as he's leaving, I followed him out the door, and I was like, "Hi, have you heard of the huddle? You should join us."
It's a cult.
Yes, join us. We only do blood sacrifice every other month. So, but a lot of this, right? Again, we there's this impetus towards, um, when we are stronger as a unit, the kingdom is inevitably stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing the effects of that. And also, there's been a lot of humility in the sense of we don't have all the right ideas. Like, I used to be the guy who would be like, I need my ideas for youth ministry, and I can't ask for help because then I'll be using other people's ideas. And then, like, I don't know, the book of Ecclesiastes exists, and it's like there's nothing new under the sun.
I love how humbling that is.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you get a good idea, the Bible's like, no.
No, it's been thought of before. But then the Bible also talks about how we're inventing new ways to sin. So I don't know. But the one fun part about collaboration has been idea sharing,
Mm-hmm.
and how we're starting to like kind of pick and choose, almost like other youth ministries are doing fun things. We're like, that sounds awesome. What if we applied that here?
Yeah.
And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But even just, I mean, the games that we're able to play too with our students, and the outreaches that we're able to do, the discipleship groups, a lot of these have come about as through conversation with other youth pastors in our area to be like,
Yep.
that sounds awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think we should try that. And they're like, yes, use it. It's for the kingdom.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of fun idea sharings, and through that, like, we get to take advantage of each other's giftings. You and I are very different. You are calm and collected and thoughtful, and I'm like releasing a caffeinated bull into a china shop, like, but there's different giftings in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps it fresh for our students. But also it's brought about a lot of really, really cool stuff. So Anna and I we've been doing a lot of collaborative stuff between our youth groups for the last 6 years. And when like the rubber meets the road, we've done some sweet things.
Yep.
Like we've gone to, again, we have a whole list here. Like, we've gone to Laser Quest together. We've done paintball. When I shot you in that, like, the whole time we were doing paintball, my only goal was to shoot you in the face.
And you did.
And I did, and it was fantastic.
Rematch.
We will,
2024.
Dude, Boston paintball, Ashland. I invited another youth group, by the way, to join us for that.
Ooh.
Could you imagine? I invited Faith Auburn to join us.
Who's that?
Sam Massenet.
Oh,
Sam
nice.
Massenet's church.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
And then maybe we can get Valley Chapel in on it too. Again, so many churches in our area. Just,
it's gonna be fun.
That was such a fun place. I ruined a really nice pair of shoes though.
My kids have been asking to do that again.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yep.
Yeah, but we've done paintball. We've gone to mini golf. We've gone to trampoline parks.
Murder Mystery Night. That was a good one.
That was fun.
That was pretty epic.
What was the theme of that one? It was
1920s.
Like 1920s. Yeah, your kids owned that. Like, they
go
showed
hard.
up like the noir theme that
Yep.
they brought. Yeah, we're hosting at the end of our end of year party this year is a Western murder mystery night, like a saloon
Nice.
style. Yeah. So.
This town ain't big enough for the
Yeah. But that was fun. Like, again, but it was like throughout all of these, oh my gosh, I'm just remembering all these Nerf wars, the times we've raided each other, and our youth groups. But again, we've just seen friendships develop between our students, and this greater understanding of the church is bigger than the four walls I look at on Sunday or Wednesday nights, whenever.
And let me say this too, like, being a woman in youth ministry, obviously I bring like a feminine presence as like youth ministry director, right? Like, I'm more motherly and, again, like the calm and just like, this is how we do things. And then you have collaboration with this animal. I say that affectionately.
Yeah, and it's true.
Josh comes into the building and he just brings a whole different masculine, insane vibe that my kids like super appreciate, because they don't get that all the time, right? Like,
Yep.
They have me like very just like, let's learn the Bible, guys. And I'm not like, we talk about giftings. Playing games is not my gifting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more just like, I will facilitate the night for you. And I will put on,
But you do an incredible job of recruiting and training leaders.
Exactly, right? So you fill in the
towards
gaps.
that end.
Right, with your youth team. But still, I'm not the fun youth pastor who, like, shoots kids in the face. That's you.
That's fun.
And the kids get to experience that. So I think there's even that gift of collaboration with other personalities in youth ministry. right? And you bring that gift. And I think for your kids too, just getting to see a woman in youth ministry has also been beneficial for your girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's been really cool
them,
to just
empowered them. Absolutely.
right, to see that dynamic in play too. Other things we've done are like Christmas parties.
We, by the way,
Super spreader.
we have checked the bucket list item for super spreader.
Yep.
That was the Omicron year.
Oh, I forgot that was even a word.
That was Omicron. that was late. It was late 2020. Was that 2020 or 2021?
I think 21.
21 going into 22, or was it 20?
Yes.
Yeah, it was wild. We had like 50 kids there, and like 40 of them got it.
We spread it to my church.
Yeah, dude, I almost had my Christmas Eve services canceled.
I almost had to miss Christmas with my family.
Oh, I missed Christmas with my family. My
Really?
wife and
So
wife
sad.
and daughter were in another house entirely.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that was wild. But again, we did a couple Christmas parties.
Ugly sweater night.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Our kids look forward to that every year.
We've done dodgeball, video game tournaments,
Yep.
Gaga tournaments.
Yep.
And we found too that like our kids are just in for whatever it is that they love doing, doing it with other people.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be this like out of the box crazy idea that requires a ton of planning either.
No.
It's more just like, come over.
Yeah.
Like you have friends over and you have youth group and it's awesome.
Yeah, and so really, like, what we found is like we'll poll our students. What do you like doing? I like doing this. Cool. Let's get more people in on it. Cool.
Yeah.
And then it's this the snowball effect that goes with that. And we've done some pretty big events. So like those are like kind of like, yeah, you can plan those pretty quickly. We've also done some really big events like the Lippies, which we're doing
Yes.
again this year.
Yes. So Josh has this unique idea he came up with. Did you come up with that?
I borrowed it / helped refine it when I was out in Colorado.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's still your idea.
I brought it to the East Coast.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your idea here.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you credit.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Kyle Friedman, if you're listening to this, you OG legend.
So Libby's is a lip sync competition where students have to do a, recording of themselves or friends, lip syncing to a song, making it their own twist and creative and all that stuff. And then we get to have an Oscar style night to celebrate it.
Red carpet.
And watch them. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
they dressed up in tuxes and dresses, and we've got paparazzi. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to see like my own kids go out of their like comfort zone and make these funny videos. They're pretty epic. So I'm excited for this time around to see what they come up with.
Yeah. My kids are already talking smack about your kids, though. They're like, we're going to make sure that they don't get on the podium at all.
Oh, wow. You got a violin group this time, huh?
Oh, dude. You should have seen us at snow camp this year.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous now.
You should be. We go hard for the kingdom, bro.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so the Lippies has been fun, and again, it's this massive event that we get kids together and we get to appreciate their giftings while also treating them as sons and daughters of the King.
Yep.
And that's something we've done together. But Anna, what is the coolest thing that we have done? And we're still like in awe of God.
Yes.
Of what he's
all
and
God.
continuing to do as a result of collaboration.
Yep. So it is this thing called the Late Nighter.
The Late Nighter.
Because I feel like
All-nighters.
this should be okay. So I feel like this should be like our slogan.
Our slogan? Okay.
Yes, the Late Nighter. Because all nighters are unbiblical.
So true. People, read your Bibles. All right. Jesus tried to have an
Yep.
all-nighter in the Garden of Gethsemane. All right.
Failed.
It failed. Jesus, well, I'm not going to let that heresy come out of my... I'm never going to say Jesus failed. What I will say is...
It's a people fail, not Jesus.
It's a people fail. Thank you.
He had a high expectation.
He had high as he should have.
Yes.
But the army showed up. A dude had his ear cut off.
Yep.
Some dude kissed Jesus. It got out of hand.
Yes.
So if Jesus' all-nighter was wacky and crazy and ultimately failed, why do we try?
I don't know. I don't know who started this strange belief that all-nighters with students is a good idea, but it is just not, guys. Can we just leave that in the 90s and the 80s? Can we just like leave it? Can we?
Seriously.
Like let it go?
I
feel like it's a sacred cow that like
Yes.
just goodbye.
I showed, like, in my interview process here at
Lock-ins.
Cornerstone, I was like, hi, I will never do a lock-in here. It's like, take it or leave it.
It's me.
But there was
nothing.
I also saw this thing on youth group memes. They did a youth group memes, was that it? Some youth group thing on Instagram where they did a poll on late nighters or no, and the most liked comment was youth all-nighters take 7 years off of the life of those who plan them.
Yeah.
It's, oh gosh, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. I tried to have an all-nighter in Colorado, and I was literally pulling kids out of each other's sleeping bags for like making out with each other. I'm like, listen, so like I just have to set that standard. Like I did that on our I did a bus safety speech on our way to snow camp, and I was like, your mouths and tongues will be used for talking, worshiping, and eating only.
Ew. Teenagers are gross.
Yeah, they are, but I love them.
Yeah, same. Anyways, late nighter.
Yeah, so
we're very passionate about all-nighters being just wrong.
What's that?
So, about all-nighters just being wrong.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah, so now that you guys have tasted the passion in the room, the late nighter has been born out of that.
Yep.
Started back in 2017.
2017 with Mike McGarry.
Yes.
Youth pastor theologian, who I'm going to try to get on this. I'm going to try to get him on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be awesome. So our friend Mike McGarry agreed with me that what we were doing for all-nighters just was not cutting it. And no, this is not, I just also want to say as a disclaimer, caveat, or whatever, that this is not to diss these organizations that are putting on these all-nighters.
Yeah, God bless you.
Yeah, great. Good for you.
You do you. To use a teenage phrase.
But Mike and I were like, you know what? It's just not working for us.
I'm tired. I'm not as young as I used to be. Just selfishly, like I'm like I don't like anybody after 12 o'clock.
Yes, I'm a night owl, and that's saying a lot. Like I just shut
you were
down.
Posting in like the Discord at 2 a.m. this morning.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
See, I was just like up all night finishing my youth newsletter because that's when I have uninterrupted productivity time.
God bless you. How much coffee do you drink?
So far today, it's only 1 cup.
Wow.
But it's water. Hydration is key, guys.
Nice.
Wow, I just went. What was I talking about?
You were talking about late nighter with Mike, and it wasn't working.
Right. So we were like, you know what? Let's ditch this model.
Yep. All-nighter.
Because
late nighter is fine.
Yeah, all-nighters. Because the all-nighter organizations that we were taking our kids to essentially weren't serving us well in terms of like, what's the word?
I think retention, spiritual development. Yes. I think even in terms of what message are you receiving?
Yep.
How well is it being shared?
Yes.
Are there opportunities for discipleship and growth?
Yeah, it was just this like one night of the year craziness and kids, passed out in the floor of a nasty roller rink. It was disgusting. By 3 a.m., no one is mentally there anymore. Mm-mm. Leaders included. And then you have like that 2-day recovery period afterwards.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I also think one of the large issues that we were recognizing is that this was an outside organization.
Yep.
Outside of New England is what I mean.
Yep.
Coming to New England and trying to do their model of ministry.
Yep.
And, I'm going to be a little biased. I'm going to be a little proud of my home area because I grew up in Massachusetts since the age of 4, right? Like, I love New England. I don't think I would ever move out of New England. I just love everything that it offers.
Everybody in New England loves New England except those who live in New England.
What?
I don't think New England's not exactly the top choice of people who are like, yeah, New England's just a place I want to live.
No, it's cold here.
Yeah, it's cold.
I hate
the
cold.
wind hurts your face in the winter.
Yes. That is the suckiest part, but everything else about New England is amazing.
I do like that we have 4 seasons.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Although the roads could also be better. The infrastructure is a little meh.
Well, the amount of plowing, that's what does the roads in.
That's a fair point.
Anyway, so we had these outside people doing ministry in New England, and I feel like just New Englanders are their own special breed of people, right? So it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. So we decided, you know what? Let's take matters into our own hands, and let's you and I collaborate. This is talking to Mike at the time. Invite a couple of other friends of ours that have youth groups, youth group friends, youth pastors, and let's see where this thing goes. So we started off by renting corporate space in places that have like
Big rooms, Apex.
Yeah, like Apex and Marlboro, if people are familiar with that. So they've got like go-karts and arcades and laser tag, all the activities in
Yeah.
one space. We rented the corporate room there, had enough seating for like, I don't know, maybe 200. We invited, I think at the time, 3 or 4 youth groups. They all came. We had one of the youth pastors share the gospel message, and we had pizza, and then everybody went, had fun, and we were back home in our beds by like, midnight.
Oh,
Great.
yep.
And it worked. Surprisingly, youth pastors were for it, parents were for it, students loved it, and it slowly began to grow from that point in 2017. So we did the corporate rental model for about 3-ish years.
Because I remember I came on year 2, and we went to Apex with Chapel of the Cross and Matt Ananias and New
He's
Life.
been there from the beginning.
Matt Ananias was there from the beginning.
Yep.
Go Matt.
He's a goat.
Shout out Matt. What a great guy.
He is.
And then we took another step of faith when we were like, yo, let's try this at a church.
Yeah, because we had the pandemic year.
Yep.
Where it was just you and I.
It was just you and I. What was that? That was at the Speedway.
Supercharged.
Supercharged.
Rent them.
God, it was so much fun.
The largest
so
indoor go-karts. They're awesome.
Oh, it was so awesome.
But we were so done with the corporate model, and it was so expensive.
It was expensive. Like, we're spending $50, $60 per kid.
Yeah. And charging them less, obviously, so we're not hurting parents' pockets. Yep, taking a hit for our youth ministry budget. So Josh is like, you know what? Let's take a chance here, and let's do it at my church, New England Chapel, and see how this goes. First year, 2021?
2021.
Yeah. Post-pandemic. We had 10
youth groups.
10 youth groups join us. We quickly outgrew that space.
Yeah. Phew. Well, that was like 200 kids that year.
Maybe more.
Was it 2? It might have been more.
Might have been more.
Was it 3? No, it was 300 that year. And we invited Jen Aldana and Oak Boy McCoy.
Yep.
All New England based.
The illusionist
worship
guy.
artists. Oh, that's right. What was his? He was fantastic.
I'm blanking right now.
Was it Chris?
Chris something.
He was fantastic.
I'm sorry, Chris something. I don't remember your name right now.
You were great. And and we had bubble soccer balls and we had
9 Square
photo and photo booth and all that stuff. But we quickly realized, but there were also people who were like, yo, you did what? That sounds awesome.
Yes.
And so we reached out to our friends at Faith Community Church in Hopkinton. Emma Campbell, Andrew Garrard, what's up?
Hey, hey.
Still on the team. And we just were like, hey, can we use your space?
And they quickly were all for it.
Yep.
So the thing that we've found with the late nighter is that this model works.
Yep. Why? But what is? So we've talked about being for New England, by New England, for New England. But there's also something deeper that we've honestly forgotten to talk about at the very core of our model when it comes to collaboration.
What?
Or is that what you're about to say?
I don't know.
About how it's youth pastors stacking hands to make this event work.
Oh yeah, right. That's why it works.
That's why it works, Anna. What's that all about?
That's like our one thing. And
woo!
Not enough coffee today, apparently.
Yeah, seriously. We have more downstairs after this.
Yes, the reason why the late nighter model works is not only do we get the big win of youth pastors getting home to their beds, right? Students going home to their beds. And funny enough, the culture is shifting where like a lot of parents, even if they're not conservative Christian, right? They're not for sleepovers anymore.
No, we're not.
They're not.
My daughter asks for it all the time. I'm like, well, she's also 5, so no.
Yeah.
But 2, like, yeah, I
don't.
So
this idea of like the late over, have you heard that? Is becoming more prevalent now, even amongst like non-Christian
the first time I've heard that.
parents. Yeah. Huh. So like you're allowed to, for example, instead of saying yes to a sleepover, if your child is old enough or whatever, you could say, I won't allow a sleepover, but I'll allow a late over and I'll come pick you up around midnight.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you're still in your bed at night and there's still that sense of safety and accountability.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
And especially with 2 daughters.
Yeah. And I think for parents now, there's a higher level of protection.
Yeah.
I know for me, for sure, I'm overprotective of my girls, my son, for sure. And I think I definitely will when they hit the teenage years. So the late nighter model also kind of serves parents.
Oh, that's a really fascinating. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
cool.
I've thought about this. I've sat and pondered for a while. Like, why is this working?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sense of safety is there. Youth pastors in their beds, their team not worn out, right? And then on top of that, beyond like all these youth groups getting together, there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes for the youth pastors to
Yep.
stack hands. So everybody is owning a piece of the night.
Yep.
It's not just Josh and I and Angie and Emma at the time, right? Like running this massive event. Absolutely not, because the burnout would be real.
We have jobs.
Yes,
The late
and we
nighter
have
is
jobs on top of
Yeah.
it. The late nighter is its own separate entity gig that requires so much.
Yeah.
But the reason why it works is because we're inviting other youth pastors
Mm-hmm.
into the space and saying, "Hey, you're not just bringing your student to this thing, this awesome thing. You're getting to actually help us do this thing,
Yeah.
and you get to place stake in it. You're a
Yep.
stakeholder."
Yeah. And so we were at 300 that first year. Then we went to Faith Community. We had 400.
Yep,
Then last year we had
close to 6.
close to 600. We actually had over 600 if you include all the bodies in the building.
Hmm.
And so now we've outgrown our second space.
Yep.
Last year was what, 18 churches last year? Was it 20?
Good question.
20?
I don't know if we hit 20, but definitely maybe 15 to
It was
18.
busy.
I don't know. It was a lot.
But this year, we just got done finalizing our location.
Our new
for
location, yeah.
New location, which is His Providence Church down in Swansea, which can hold up to 1,600 people.
Yeah, it's such a cool space.
Yeah.
They took over an old mall
Yeah.
and have been doing a lot of work to remodel and make it a church space. So it's
The
been-
church meets in the old Macy's. Like,
Yeah.
that's like where the worship center
It's
is.
so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited because this is not like, I think for Josh and I, it's just been a sense of obedience
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
like, okay, Lord, we're going to take this step of faith, right? Have it at a church setting, invite other groups in, because we were limited too with the corporate space of who we could invite.
Yep.
Now the invitation's more open. And we've, from the beginning, I've just said, and I don't say this as like a brag or anything, but we have really just been saying, Lord, lead.
Yep.
This is
Absolutely.
not our doing. If you want it to grow, grow. Like, have your way with it. And God really has.
Yeah.
Every year we stand back blown away
Mm-hmm.
at the amount of growth and the amount of like willingness and excitement and just people jumping in with us
Mm-hmm.
to do this.
Yeah, so our behind the scenes planning team, I think, is at like 14 this year, which is just wild.
Yeah. It's like finally
And
the
we're getting
team has
drip
grown.
this year. We're getting drip.
We're getting merch.
Yeah. So, but it's again, I think but that has been a direct result of networking and collaboration and saying to ourselves, hey, this isn't just about my youth ministry.
Yep.
It's about opening up our ministry, our hearts, our time, our schedules to other groups. And guess what? We don't all have the same leadership styles.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of humility required in terms of, hey, maybe like there are other people who can do things better than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And being willing to work as a team for the kingdom.
Yeah. And I think we also need to add that it grew beyond our capacity to handle it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that
Right.
we actually had to ask Camp Berea
Yep.
to step in.
Maria
and-
Ministries, Legends.
Yes, and kind of help us navigate the financial aspects of it, navigate resources.
Mm-hmm.
And their team has just been incredible.
They've been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But there even lies another, New England gem. We have Camp Berea that's willing to see what
and their
youth pastors
networking
are
and their
doing.
reach, right? I mean, that's what they're all about.
Yeah, but they're willing to take the chance on us, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, they see youth pastors doing something organically, and they say, hey, I want to support that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of beautiful just walking with each other in this journey
Mm-hmm.
that's happening here. It's not like us telling them what we want or them telling us. It's more of just like,
Stacking hands.
yeah, let's do this. Let's figure this out. Let's go on this journey. Let's see where this leads.
Yeah.
It's been really, really cool.
It's been fun. And again, this year, November 15th, his Providence Church in Swansea. I'm praying for 1,000. How cool would that be? Not mind you, like 1,000's a number, right? Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, that'd
But
be cool.
1,000 teenagers coming together to worship Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And it's just, we just all, you can't help, especially in New England, look back and be like, yo, God, won't you do it?
He will. And I think having this this ability to tap into what's going on in other youth ministries through something like the huddle.
Yep.
We've been able to just, ask on a random call during the week. It's like, hey, what are you guys seeing? Is what you're seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
And recently it's just been a confirmation of yes. And what our friends are seeing, that I'm seeing, that I think is happening regionally, is students are hungry.
They are.
There's something stirring in this generation. They are hungry for the Lord. They're hungry for purpose. They're hungry for more. Mm-hmm. And they're being led by the Lord. I have students that I never expected right after our winter retreat recently. One that I really did not expect, she came out to me. She said, hey, God's stirring me to start a Bible club in my school. And this is a sweet, she reminds me a little bit of me as a high schooler, just very introverted and quirky.
Yeah.
And she's saying, I want to do a Bible club.
Come on.
I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's something happening in our students. And I can't wait for this massive regional gathering to see what God is going to continue to spark and stir in their hearts.
Yeah. But again, again, behind all of this has been the need to, where the rubber meets the road, we have to work hard. Right.
Yep.
And you can't afford it, but and I don't like using this word, but flakiness. You cannot be flaky in collaboration with other ministries.
Nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it. We talk about you behind your back. Just kidding.
Whoa.
Sorry, did I just go full on teenage girl there for a second?
Yes.
I kid. We don't actually talk about you behind your back, but we got to be work hard. You also got to be willing to fail.
Yeah.
We have had failure collaboration events,
yes, we have.
Particularly our Summer Olympics event.
It was a beautiful vision.
It bombed.
It bombed.
It just did.
Ugly.
Kids went home with concussions. Sprained
gosh.
wrist. Was it a broken wrist or a sprained wrist?
I think sprained.
Sprained wrist.
Concussion for sure.
Yeah, we had kids dropping like flies out of that event.
Yeah. It's not a bright spot.
It was great on paper. But
yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We get a good laugh out of it. Schadenfreude, laughing at other kids' pain.
Yeah. We can look back and say, well, we probably shouldn't do that one again.
But what we've learned, right, is there's the willingness to fail, but it's difficult to fail when, one, you're obedient to God, and two, you're leaning into what your students are asking for.
Yeah.
Right? All they want is community. They want belonging, and God's like, I made you for this.
Yeah.
And so when we get to do these fun events together, that kids actually are interested and want to do.
Yeah, and we're asking for their feedback too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're asking for the youth ministries that come to check in with their students, particularly student leaders of okay, what went well, what sucked. I got feedback yesterday from a student that you know what? The wristbands you guys made the last 2 years sucked. They washed off in the shower. I would have never known that. Because I had a student who was wearing it all the time, which is cute, it's sweet. But he's
washed off in the shower.
Yeah, because they
so
were
engraved this year.
The silicone ones that actually have the word carved in. And I was like, look at that. That's the feedback we want. That's feedback we need, right? For kids to say that was awesome, but here's how we could do it better.
Yeah. Huh. But yeah, and again, you've said it too. When you were cold calling people, cold turkeying people, just beating them over the head with cold frozen turkeys. You need to do this with us. But we've seen it work so much that when people we don't take no for an answer now. It's no, you need this, and you'll like this. But we've also seen some walls break down there where people are okay, fine, and then they try it and they're like, oh.
This is what I was running away from this whole time?
Oh, man.
My kids actually enjoyed that?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so, when we work hard, when we're willing to fail, when we share control and ownership, good things are happening.
Yep.
And so, again, I think it's replicable anywhere.
It is.
We just need to be willing to stack hands and collaborate with other ministries for the kingdom.
Yep.
So, I don't know, any last nuggets of wisdom for us, Anna?
I don't know, man. Just do it.
Just Shia LaBeouf. Just do it. But anyway, hey friends, thanks for listening. Grateful for Anna being here with us and her wisdom and the joy that it is to not only collaborate with her, but to be your friend. Grateful for Cornerstone Church providing us this space. Grateful to Steve behind the door over there who's editing all of this. Friends, youth ministry is awesome, and it's even better when we do it together. So, again, let's get after it for the kingdom. God bless you.